The real world, a global community where like-minded individuals work toward achieving their personal goals. Every member receives advanced training and mentoring from our team of experienced industry specialists. Develop essential business skills with the help of our coaches through our online comprehensive education system. Join now. Real Prosperity Financial Freedom Formula. Discover how to become financially freed so you don't have to depend on your business, a job, the government, a partner, or anyone else for money. Scan code for the Financial Freedom Formula. 4BK Forbidden Knowledge Shop. Forbidden Knowledge Tours and Workshops. Embark on a journey of discovery with Forbidden Knowledge Tours and Workshops, where history, science, and spirituality merge to unlock the secrets of the universe. Our immersive experiences take you beyond the mainstream narrative, exploring ancient civilizations, consciousness expansion, biohacking, UFO phenomena, and the art of manifestation. Esoteric Store, featuring new esoteric and biohack items. It's a movement, a portal to ancient wisdom, higher vibrations, and deep truths. Awakening minds and expanding consciousness. Scan code to shop now. AI Genius Club. Revolutionary suite of 24 AI-powered apps is designed to automate, optimize, and elevate your success. Whether you're crafting visuals, creating engaging funnels, or generating personalized content, our platform empowers you to excel with ease and precision. Scan code to create magic. Event Raptor, the #1 solution for automating your sales. Attract, nurture, and convert with your ultimate coaching client attraction system. Everything you need to grow your audience, your authority and influence, your sales. Scan to start your automation.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Pain Point Podcast. And I've got another great guest here for you to offer solutions to your online business pain points for you and, of course, your clients. We're going to have some solutions today that you can go from this podcast, even sometimes while you're on the podcast, listening to the podcast, you can apply to your business and take away. And of course, we are sponsored today, and you'll see our sponsors down below. So I encourage you to go there. And yes, they do support me. Get a portion from those sponsors. That's how the world works. And that is what I teach my clients is get yourself some sponsorships, affiliate, and do the do, because you have to enjoy your life, and the world does cost a bit much today. You can't get away with a wink and a smile, right? So our sponsors today are The Great Discovery, and that is with AI Genius and those effective tools to help you create wonderful social media posts with these beautiful images. More information will be down below. Let me bring my guest on today, the beautiful Jenny. Welcome to the Pain Point Podcast. We had a great conversation behind the scenes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But go ahead, and would you introduce yourself to our guests and tell them how wonderful you are?
All right. I'm happy to do that. I also just want to say I like your phrase, do the do. I never heard that before, and I love it. I'm Jenny Elinora. I help women get creative, basically. I've been creative all my whole life, and I always wanted to share my voice when I was a kid. And there were moments when I was told I was too weird or not talented enough or just was doing it for attention. I gave up for a while until I was 33 years old. And then I got some support and I had a creative transformation. And since then I have performed on hundreds of stages. Music and performance are my main outlets of creativity. I've performed on hundreds of stages. I've spearheaded some theatrical music groups focused on empowering women and femmes. And I've recorded albums and won an award for Best Vermont Rock Album in 2019 for an album that I performed on and helped arrange and produce. Basically, I'm never going to hide my creative soul again. And my mission is to help other women do the same, to never hide your creative soul. That's me.
As a theater person, myself, and a techie coming from Silicon Valley, yeah, I heard all the sides of it. And I wasn't the weirdest one either. But hello, now that I'm older, I'm like, excuse me, let me end this call. Have a nice day. Really, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you is what people like to say. And that you were able to step in and recognize what a wonderful being you are. And I just want to bring this back to people. If you've never been in drama class, and I went to the theatrical school, a drama school called Lincoln High School in San Jose, California. I was weird. Yeah, I had green hair. I had a mohawk when it was pretty taboo back in the day. I was the punk rock kid, right? So I knew theatrics, I knew people, and I embraced my crazy. Oh, you think this is crazy? Just wait. Here, let me show you tenfold. And it is so funny. And I just reflect on that because I think society needs people who are creative and who are fantastical and who are just amazing and dramatic people, drama people, though that culture. And you're a music person. How else do you get on stage? How else do you have that presence? How else do you elude that energy? Because if you don't have energy, everybody's boring without it. And you want that kind of high strangeness, that wonderful portion of life. It's just so in the quantum realm, you want that entangled matter and the high strangeness to come forward. And people talk about in science, and you need that in person. Otherwise we're all cookie cutter and we're super really boring people and beings. And then we have no comedy. And oh my gosh, you would take away, and that's like taking Shakespeare out of the library totally. And I've seen that happen in a few places. We're not even going to talk about it. But let's get back to you. And I know I digress a little bit, but it's so important to bring out that you're an amazing being and you have this fantastic energy. We've talked before, and you're just you. And I love that. Because there's no excuses. How would you get this award? How would you get this talent? It's just, there's got to be so much. When I talk to you as an energetic person, I just really read that I marvel at the energy that comes through you and the waves and what comes around you. It's like this, it's like a musical energy of bands and ribbons of color and light and shadow that just come through you. And it's a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful to feel that.
Good. And let's step back a little bit, because we're going to get into the solutions you provide, because music you can get online, music you can get on an MP3, and we'll talk more about what your online solutions are, because again, my audience, that's what we're here for, is to provide these solutions online. This is a solution in and of itself, a conversation that we can have online and that people can either watch or listen to or just feel into. And I challenge you to tap into your intuition and just feel into the conversation, the emotion of what you feel and what you hear, and the tonality and the sound of the voice. And so glad that you've decided to step into this. What gave you that strength, or where did you find that strength to finally say, hey, I'm an amazing being and I'm going to rock it? And then you won awards.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, some outside support was key to that. The seeds for it were planted when I was a teenager, even though I didn't exercise it. But my mother, when I was a teenager, really started to take on her own life, to live her own life more wholly and fully. So I'd say that was one of the things that gave me strength as well. And then as soon as I started, when I was 33, after I got that little bit of support from the outside, as soon as I started engaging creatively in my life, it just builds on itself too. You can totally, my experience and the experience of lots of people that I work with is that once you open those doors, it has its own energy. It gives you your path, I would say. So it's can't be more specific than that, though. I'm feeling that's really vague, but I can give plenty of examples. For example, one of my clients, Joette, she came to me first for songwriting, right? And she went ahead and changed her whole perspective on how creativity looks. She got rid of the perfectionism and she moved it into presence. Is the mechanism that we worked with. And then as soon as she started to share her songs, though, which was something she wanted to do, this door opened for her to write to work on a book that she had been writing for 40 years. Like she was 70 by the time she got to me. She started working on a book that she'd been writing for 40 years. We're working together. And all of a sudden she's publishing the book this year because and it all started with songwriting. So yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah.
It does and more, because the simplicity in what you say is the blueprint for how you're helping people get to that point of change, and you're offering them that roadmap moving forward on what they need to do and the next steps are. So strategy is important. The blueprint to life is important. The how is important. You can have the why, and your why can change. It's important. Why do you wake up in the morning? You have to get to work, or maybe you have to take your kids to school. Why do you drink coffee? Because it fuels you and has that energy. Why do we eat? Because again, we need fuel. We need that breakdown of the insulin. Why? I'm thinking about it like a 2-year-old. Why? And it's funny when adults get to that point where they think I need to find my why. It wasn't hiding. It's always been within you. It just depends on how you define it. It's more important as you're developing the why. It's the how and the blueprint. And so having the strategy and the structure to move forward, the structure of the house is always going to be there. It has to be there. The foundation has to be laid. What is your end game? What is your goal with being with this coach or this consultant or this business person? What is the goal for the client? And so having that end game in mind. And what a beautiful thing. And that 33 is just in the key into that is that 33rd vertebrae. And it's that even in the Masons, the Masonic Lodge, it's the 33rd degree Mason, which is the divinity and the divine. Many of us haven't found our why or our purpose or really our voice. And that's what you have grow your whole voice in that until we are older. We're really not supposed to. I don't think that we're supposed to define that as a child, but somebody somewhere said we have to. So here we are all following that. And unfortunately, you try to find that path, and that's what we are here for. I think that divine purpose of establishing that, but it changes a little bit over the years and you hone into that. So when you're helping people grow into their whole voice and you're working with these people, herein lies part of the solution is you're bringing people the blueprint and the solution. And that's pretty much done. Are your services one-to-one online, or are they in person as well?
They can be in person, but they're generally online these days. And let me just make a little quick note about voice, by the way, about whole voice. In this case, I'm referring to it as creative expression, not necessarily always singing or speaking, just making note of that. But yeah, mostly my services are online. There's one-on-one coaching. I have an online course. I have, what else? I have an online community network of creative empowerment, mostly women. And I do online group coaching. Almost everything tends to be online these days.
And that's the best ways these days, actually, because you are giving people on a global scale the ability to find you, and all your information is going to be down below. So we'll have that for the audience as well. And to say it's important for people to be able to find you online. You could be the best thing in the whole world. You could be the world's greatest expert. But if you don't have a website and you don't get on podcast, how do you share that with other people? How do you give that to other people? So if you want to give that away, if you want to share with people and you want people to find you, get a darn website, have a funnel, a lead magnet somewhere, talk to people, get on summits. That's what virtual stages is about. And that's how I find people, is through networking. So I can give them a space to share how wonderful they are and what they do with their clients and working with them. And how do you find yourself? You have to get on stages to tell your story and to give your gifts away. If you can't generate leads without having a lead magnet, and you can't give your lead magnet away if it's hiding behind a page or hiding behind a paywall or hiding behind a private link, if you don't tell people about it. So they have to find you. And then people always wonder, how come nobody comes to purchase this? How come nobody goes to my website? How come you're just going to wait? You're going to wait in line. And it's like waiting in line at a restaurant that's not going to be open. It's like waiting in line in the old days. It was Best Buy for hours and hours, and you're the last person in line because people camped out 2 days ahead of you, and now they have no iPhones. So they miles and miles of lines. You didn't prepare for that. You didn't get there in the amount of time to get what the product or service was that you needed. You just saw that there was a line. And so use the intellect that you have and a little bit of critical thinking, and we can find the solution. And that's what this is all about, is finding solutions and saying, hey, here's Jenny. She's got this wonderful gift and she's got this expertise in what she does. So when a client comes to you, Jenny, what are they coming to you for? So you have the whole voice here. And so you're saying that's more than just the voice, but that's more of maybe what they need to do or what they want. What kind of pain points would they have with the
Yeah.
solutions you provide?
Yeah, whether it's art or activism or entrepreneurship, because I have clients in all those realms. Some of them are all three, like myself. But yeah, they're the common problems, the common pain points are, especially as women, we tend to tell ourselves that creativity is a waste of time. And our whole culture tells us that. So those are the voices in our head. That's a pain point that we have, like the thinking, the thought, the programming that our creativity is a waste of time. And that I don't have the time and the energy. That's another pain point that's related to that. I would say there's plenty more. I could go into more if we have time, but like feeling like being creative is out of our reach in some way. Again, not enough time, resources or energy, or maybe inspiration, like that, or that maybe we're not good enough. That's another thing that a lot of us feel. Clients also come to me because they're worried. I do have clients that are more midlife and beyond. So a lot of us are worried that time is running out to live our creative dreams. That's another pain point that my clients experience. And yes, putting aside our own pleasure, having done that for years, like supporting everybody else as women, especially to support everybody else's dreams and putting aside our own over and over again. That's a strong pain point as well. Comparison is another big one. Comparing ourselves to other creative people and then deciding that we're not as good and talented as they are. And then I guess the last pain point I'd say it would be isolation. The last big one is isolation and creative disconnection. Either disconnection from our own joy in creation and or creative disconnection from the fact that society puts creative idols in front of us, but we don't necessarily always engage creatively in our lives. We watch American Idol, for example, and we're entertained by creative people, but we don't think of ourselves as creative, even though we all are. So yeah, I think those are the main pain points.
Which are a few, and we have many. And so when a client is coming to you with that inability at the moment to be creative, whatever that is truly, hey, maybe they didn't have time, maybe they didn't have the money, or they felt that they didn't understand how Canva works, or an AI tool that gives you the ability to be creative. Because when people come in to these tools, it's, oh my gosh, it's going to take away the creativity. But Michio Kaku talks about the string theorist himself talks about how AI can enhance our creativity or open up our lives to more creativity and a different thought process. Where chess is, how are you moving the pieces? Where are you moving the pieces to? What is your outcome? Who are you playing? Are you continually looking 5 steps ahead? And so when you have that strategy in place, you can go, oh, you can start to recognize new creation. Or what is your creation? What is your best creation? Not everybody can draw. I can't draw anything, maybe a stick figure if I'm lucky, but I can use AI tools. I can use the great discovery AI genius and create social media. Or I can get online, and when the Google God came on, and it was like, oh, wow, this is not as destructive as it can motivate my thought process to start to see what I don't like or what I do, and recognize when I'm looking for a subject or talking points or content to fuel my mind at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when the rest of the world is asleep or maybe just waking up and I can't have that conversation. I can bounce those ideas off my brain housing unit and say, okay, now I've got a different thought process going. Maybe there's something there too. But when you help clients find their creative side and bring them to that, what are then those solutions that you're providing for them and you're helping them? And obviously you're not going to give the farm away and everything, and people will probably get more in your gift, but what is that, in sense, the gift you're giving them one-to-one to help to solve that problem?
Yeah. I'd say it's nothing short of just soul transformation in the form of mindset shifts that we get to overcome self-doubt that's blocking our creativity and our motivations and inspirations to be creative. Transformation, really. Everybody that comes to me gets like a personal recipe for making them creatively unstoppable. So confidence is another thing that people get, and through another transformation that people get. And then I guess understanding how to leverage our creativity and the creative tools that you mentioned, like AI, and in my case, music, recording, engineering, things like that, so that we actually gain time and energy instead of continuing to waste more time on not being creative and not fulfilling those parts of ourselves. What they get from me is an understanding of how to leverage the creativity itself to really gain the time and energy. It's a myth that we don't have it, because we can infuse creativity into every part of our lives if we know how to do it. Yeah. And that understanding, and then the awareness comes that I've gained too myself, and now I'm able to give to others, that being creative as humans is really, it's our birthright. There's this part and parcel of who we are. We are creative beings, whether we think of ourselves as creative or not. And if we want to be creative, and if we want to share our voice and express ourselves that way, we all will feel more fulfilled by doing so.
Yeah, you're meant to be creative. You're meant to be free, and you're meant to have a mind and think for yourself in order to gain that freedom, because we're the first animal with that animalistic attitude that doesn't have to, for the majority of us, survive or fight our way for our food or our outcome at every moment. And so we're falsifying that thought in our mind and implanting it and forcing it in there to say, we have to fight, we have to have that upset. Not necessarily. When we look at creativeness, there is like a good movie. You have thrill and drama and upset and pain. And I think that the creativity helps that when you tell a story. You want emotion, you want to grasp it, but you want a solution like, hey, that's where the happy ending came from. We can't always have a happy ending, but there's a way to get to being happier or seeing that tragedy for what it was and learning from that. What kind of tools do you use with people? Do you use meditation? Do you do energy work? And then maybe give them a little, with those recipes, a little know-how, which will help applying knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely meditation, guided visualization, somatic embodiment exercises, getting the goals that we have in our bodies as if we're living them already. And let's see. I also I'm an interesting mix of like pretty intuitive and pretty practical. So I also help my clients with goal setting and breaking larger goals down into smaller ones so that they're doable, and creating a pathway or a map to logistically how to get to fulfilling the goal that we have, like publishing a book or working on our craft hobby or something like that, or starting a business. That's another one. So helping people get there. Let's see, I guess there's also some elements of psychological coaching that I do, or mindset coaching. That's what you would call it.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
helping us change our minds and deprogram from ideas and assumptions and biases that haven't served us within our own stories about ourselves and our creativity.
Right. Oh, yeah. Just letting that go, just ditching that thought,
Yeah.
letting it go. I don't know if you follow like Robert Grant from Gaia, polymath, and that comes to mind when you talk about music, which is numbers, and in story, it's writing, so it's spelling. and bringing all that together. You have to have that logical side. Whoever said that creatives don't have a logical or maybe a mathematical function, you have to find that, I would guess, a range of notes. I can't hold a note to save my life, but I used to be able to play the guitar. I just haven't picked it up in years, or the drums, but just had an ear for that. I think it helps our thinking, and we take that away in school, but also people stopped allowing their kids, oh, just let it go. You want the music. And I find clients that I talk to, or people I talk to, or if I go to a live show, there's a difference in that creative mindset and also the thought. It's like a jujitsu of the mind, where in the martial arts, there is that mathematic problem solving innate within the physicality that I think would be applied to music as well. Do you find that necessary?
Yeah. And I also believe, if I'm catching your point, I also believe that we all have the ability to enhance all those areas within ourselves. If we start out as maybe a more logical type of mind, we have the ability to enhance our intuition. There are tools to do that. And if we start out as a naturally intuitive person, there are tools to get more logical and plan things that way. I don't know, just in general, life is about expanding our awarenesses. For me, that's what life is about for me. Expanding our awarenesses, becoming greater than the sum of our parts together, learning from each other, and creativity is the mechanism to do that. So to do all that learning. Yeah.
True, because a polymath is more like the Renaissance, male or female of the time, somebody who reads, somebody who, you think of the Shakespeare plays, you read, you write, you talk, you discuss, you love, you hate, you have anger, you have joy, and you allow those emotions, but you understand math and arithmetic, and the point of having numbers, or actually understanding enough so you can be a good leader in your business to delegate to that person. You don't have to know how the engine is taken apart. I've done that myself. Didn't necessarily go together, because I had a partner in high school who hid the parts in his locker because he didn't want to have to, oh, I didn't write anything down. He threw all certain parts in a can, threw another bunch of parts in a bin. And so when you think of that picture, you're just like, there was two of us taking things apart. We were marking the parts and pieces one by one, and we would call it out and say, I take this side of the engine, you take that side of the engine, and we're going to mirror one another. So when we put it back, we're mirroring one another again, so we can put the parts exactly together. And the third person, all they had to do was hand us the parts. We just jumbled it all in this big one pile. So we ended up going into another group to put their engines together and watch this come together into fruition. But it's
Great
the understanding, right? So it's the understanding of how it goes apart, and put the blueprint together, and the applied knowledge with that. And then these people who are more used to be called the Renaissance person are now these polymaths, which are just these highly intelligent beings. The majority of us can be that and find that. And I think that has to do, unfortunately, in my experience with my family, I use myself as an example, the mental health has crushed with people because of not allowing the intuitive portion, that psychic and ESP ability, the gut feeling, whichever you want to go with, and the physical health and sunshine and the creation all together. And we've taken all of that apart. You cannot drive your car without the engine. So if you take the engine out and leave it on the grass, you're not going to go very far with that, but maybe in your head, and that's not a good place to live. So it's the understanding of what you need, how to get it, find the people you need to put it together, and find that structure. I think it's a great way to see, how do you problem solve? And it's a very important, we used to have critical thinking in school. I don't know, do you remember that course by any chance?
Yeah.
The mathematically,
No.
critically thinking the word problems?
It didn't happen it didn't happen in my school in the form of critical thinking. If somebody already had the critical thinking if somebody naturally had the type of critical thinking that allowed them to solve those word problems, then they were getting A's, right? If they didn't have that natural ability, that wasn't taught. The ability wasn't taught. It was like, how do you get to this? How do you solve the word problem? with a formula or something. But
Oh, okay.
you see what I'm saying?
So they must have taken it away, because it used to be innate that you had to problem solve, and that there was always that super genius that would go to the magnet school or whatever they call it, or junior achievement, or some Mensa, or some be carted off somewhere in Silicon Valley, or they go work at NASA as a kid. But the people like me at the time would just be stuck in class. But we had that structure and that theory to say, okay, here's maybe what you're missing. Let's put it together. And I think that's where you come into play. And I like that's what you offer, is to say, we can take from here and here. And so all the aisles in the grocery store, and make this beautiful meal with all the color and all the taste and all the texture. And when you're putting that together, and talking about the lady with the book.
Right. And
Go ahead.
using, in this case, and using a person's own strengths, right? And the way that they already, the bonuses that they already have within their own, within their own skill set and their own sensibilities, to create something that is real and authentic to them. Because we don't all have the same ways of looking at the world. We don't all have the same approaches to life in ways that we experience the world. So yeah, just wanted to name that as well as an addition and to what you were saying.
Absolutely. So that's where someone like you comes into play to say, hey, we need that. Everybody needs that extra thing. You have to know enough to say, I don't have this piece. I don't have this part. And how do I get to that goal? How do I put this into my life? How do I create this story, or have this movie, or have this music, or even a book? There's someone that you need. And that's where the solution comes in. And so no matter what solutions you provide as a whole, you provide this transformation for people to find their whole voice, and to give them, and to make them at least that perfect being for the moment, that unique perfect being, for them to say, wow, what an eye-opener, how fun that is. How are you finding it for you? How magical is that when you see these transformations?
Oh yeah. Can I tell a client story to that end? Do we have time?
Please do. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's my favorite one right now, because one of the fruitions of it happened quite recently, just a few weeks ago. My client Joette, who I first served many years ago when I was still just teaching voice and music, voice and performance, she came to me. She was doubting the value of her songwriting, basically. And she was already in her 70s, or 70, I think, at that point. She absolutely loves songwriting and writes amazing songs, but she couldn't bear the thought of presenting them to other people. And she had the usual voices in her head, like, nobody cares. And what's the point, right? What's the point of sharing these things? Nobody's going to care. But she wanted to. She really wanted to. So when we together started to redefine creativity for her and take it from the perfectionism that was that was programmed into her, and take that to presence, right? That was this transformation that we had. She then started to share songs at the open mics. And then, amazingly, not that it was amazing in and of itself, but not even the best part, because she ended up from that starting to, did I say this already, or did I say it in an earlier podcast today? She ended up doing fulfilling a writing project that she had been doing for 40 years. Did I say that earlier?
You did. I love that, because we're circling back to that. I want to hear more about that story. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what happened a few weeks ago? So we did, in January, we did a creative pathways session. That's one of my sessions that I can do online. That's a deep dive into the deeper blocks that are blocking us creatively. And it involves meditations like the ones that I have of my giveaway too. So we did that, and now she's publishing her book this year. She emailed me a few weeks ago saying, here, I'm going to find that in. Okay. Saying, you're the first to know, even before my husband. I just finished revising chapter 40, the very last, a week ahead of schedule. Oh my God, the critical mass of the weight of this thing for the last 40 years is lifted. So she's fulfilling. And I was really honored that she decided to go ahead and tell me before her husband. But yeah, so she's publishing this book this year after 40 years, just from diving into some of those deeper things with her psyche and the blocks that came up throughout her life creatively. And she still also shares her songs at open mic, and people talk about how inspiring they find her music and everything. She's basically, for me, she's like living proof. And it's so exciting for me. That was how we started this part. You asked me how it feels. It just feels beautiful to see that example of my clients just proving over and over again that our lives, as we mature and grow, that they don't have to get smaller, right? Our lives can get more abundant and more colorful and more fulfilling when we're honoring our whole creative selves, our creative soul.
Absolutely. What a beautiful story to say, hey, you help someone in this transformation for them to be excited. I used to watch movies of artists or musicians and watch them go through these lives and get this end goal of success. When you see this, how do they get to that? And it's a beautiful thing to say, hey, I got put into this success, but they didn't get put there. They put themselves there. You get to be part of the world. You are taking your creation and you are allowing yourself to birth this creation and all the beautiful emotions and the success, and to allow that abundance to come, because you cannot manifest and have the abundance or reach your goal and hit the end game unless you allow yourself to say that, to speak it, to be out there, to open up to it. And there's a lot involved with it, but it's a beautiful thing when this does happen and you allow it to happen and you're ready for it. Just the beauty to see the change. And when you have this one person change, then her home changes. House changes a little bit. Her family changes. Her neighbors change. The people in her church or her block or her community on her Facebook page changes. You shift the dynamic. So by helping the one person, we said for years, I just want to help one person. You're helping millions.
Yeah.
You're helping millions. It's never one person. If one person hears it, there's a ripple. And then they tell two friends and it moves on. And it's those 6 degrees of separation that you're affecting as a whole. And you're changing that, and you're shifting the energy, and you're shifting that matrix and that realm yourself by changing and acknowledging who you are, and to really not be in that pain and not just survive, but thrive. And when we stay in survivor mode, it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pressure. And to get past that pain point, you have to give yourself a solution. You have to allow yourself the solution and to move forward from those solutions, not to stay in the pain or trauma bond or bring that into that, and to release from that DNA change or the cultural change or even the change from our ancestors that we hold. It's in all of us. But how do we break free? And you can't just say, I want to cut those cords. What happens next? You have to replace it. It's like an addict. You have to replace that drug with something. Is it fitness? Is it work? Is it love? Is it whatever it is? You have to decide to accept that and move forward with it. We're getting ready to hit the end of this, and I'm going to share everything with my audience about you because you're a wonderful person. I'm so glad we had this chance to meet and talk. I'm going to leave you with the last words. Just one thing I will ask is, what's a takeaway that people can go do after this podcast when this is done?
Yeah. I think I want to give some tips for people to feel into for themselves. Indicators that you're betraying your creative purpose. I think that's what I want to share. 3 indicators to maybe journal about, right? Or paint about, or whatever. Do something creative about, right? 3 indicators that you're betraying your creative purpose. You're focusing a bunch of energy and mind space on other people. That's one indicator that you might be doing that. You're like thinking about other people's lives or helping the other people with their needs and projects, and or like even comparing yourself to them and deciding that you don't measure up. That's one indicator. The second one is that you're doing disconnective things a lot, like spending a lot of hours binge watching Netflix or scrolling. And sometimes when you're doing those things, maybe you're dreaming about how you could be like the people and the characters that you're watching, but it's been months or years since you took any action towards being like them, right? Towards actually doing your dreams. The last indicator that I would say is that you might start a creative project every once in a while, but after an initial energy burst, you just let something get in the way. You are looking back a few months later and wondering why you can never complete this process of fulfilling some creative project. You're even probably then in those cases hearing voices in your head saying that, oh, I don't have the time. It's not worth my time. It's selfish to do that with all the problems in the world. Yeah. If any of those indicators are you, that's your sign that you're betraying your creative purpose and it's time to get some help moving past that. So
those are great tips. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because, hey, get out of the squirrel mindset, put the FOMO aside, stop doom scrolling, and finish whether it's the puzzle on your dining room table or the project of maybe the necklace or the oils you're putting together. Find something that you can take away from today and actually put in action, take action for and complete it. Find something simple and prove to yourself that you can. And that's a beautiful thing. And definitely look up Jenny's website and we'll have that information below because she's going to help you move through that transformation so you can be wonderful and you can tell your story and you can tell your story on a stage. So come find some stages to be on and to share that experience with people because I definitely want to hear it, and I know my audience does too. So thank you so much for being here today, Jenny.
Thank you.
The real world, a global community where like-minded individuals work toward achieving their personal goals. Every member receives advanced training and mentoring from our team of experienced industry specialists. Develop essential business skills with the help of our coaches through our online comprehensive education system. Join now. Real Prosperity Financial Freedom Formula. Discover how to become financially freed so you don't have to depend on your business, a job, the government, a partner, or anyone else for money. Scan code for the Financial Freedom Formula. 4BK Forbidden Knowledge Shop. Forbidden Knowledge Tours and Workshops. Embark on a journey of discovery with Forbidden Knowledge Tours and Workshops, where history, science, and spirituality merge to unlock the secrets of the universe. Our immersive experiences take you beyond the mainstream narrative, exploring ancient civilizations, consciousness expansion, biohacking, UFO phenomena, and the art of manifestation. Esoteric Store, featuring new esoteric and biohack items. It's a movement, a portal to ancient wisdom, higher vibrations, and deep truths. Awakening minds and expanding consciousness. Scan code to shop now. AI Genius Club. Revolutionary suite of 24 AI-powered apps is designed to automate, optimize, and elevate your success. Whether you're crafting visuals, creating engaging funnels, or generating personalized content, our platform empowers you to excel with ease and precision. Scan code to create magic. Event Raptor, the #1 solution for automating your sales. Attract, nurture, and convert with your ultimate coaching client attraction system. Everything you need to grow your audience, your authority and influence, your sales. Scan to start your automation.